all the Swafiga has now been slopped on and cleaned off, and it's looking a lot better now. However, as I mentioned before, Swafiga does show up all the imperfections. So let me just show you if I catch it in the right light. So if you have a look here, see there's like a patch there. Now there's patches like that all over the machine, and that is where the clear coat has started to deteriorate and start to come off. And Swafiga will show that up because it's given it such a good clean. So what I will do, or one of the last things I'm going to do, is then just put sewing machine oil all over the black and then let that soak in overnight. But I have now added this back on, and I have loosely fitted that back on because I need to adjust that properly for the bobbin. When I wind a bobbin, I'll check that later. Oh, that's what I was going to just pop on. It doesn't go that way. It must go that way. Perfect. So that now slots back on. And what I'm going to do now is start putting the presser bar back in. And remembering which order it all went in. So let's get the camera mounted. Okay, let's start with just getting the bobbin back in. So that just slots straight in. Let's get there's a little there. There is only one way that it goes in, and that's now clipped in, so that's not going anywhere. And now we take our little thingy, and I need to get to the balance wheel. And there's the clip. And that's slotted in, and now I need the little screwdriver there. Right, bobbin casing is now back in. Now in order to get the presser bar set up properly, I need to get the plates back on. So that's one plate. And let's pop the other plate back in. Why? Oh, that's why. And screws. I'll just do them loosely for now because I've got to make sure when the presser bar goes in that it's lined up. Right. And let's just make sure that they're not rubbing. Okay, lovely. Right, let's start putting this all back together. So the last thing that came out, when I did this before, the last thing that came out was this. So this now has to go back in, and we have to wiggle that around because it's going to go in that screwdriver. And oh, that's going to fail. Let me see how. There's that. I need smaller fingers. Right, there you go. Oh, almost. Right, so that goes back in. And then that either engages. Oh, I've got that jammed. Have I got the right screw? Yeah, because that's supposed to... Oh, I think I just did it a little bit wrong. That's better. Yeah, so that's going to be pushing that pin out to release the tension. Oh, I didn't mention before, this should normally come out. There's a little grub screw on the back here. I couldn't get this thing out, so it got left in and cleaned as it is. So that was that bit. The next thing that came out is this little fella. So let me just get a screw for that. And that's going to slide in because that pushes that. Oops. Wrong screwdriver, but let's just get it going. Right, let me get the bigger screwdriver. Because if they don't all go back in the right order, this is where it's all going to go a bit meshed up. So that's going to lift up and down. Let me just tighten that a little bit. Okay, so that's that bit back in. Next thing that came out, because it all has to be done in reverse, was this block and the little grub screw. So, but what we're going to do for now is just, let's get that angled in, because that sits about there. So when that comes up, it's going to start moving the bar. So what we need next is the bar. So bar is shined up as best I can. So we're going to slide that down into there, and then all the way through. There, bit of dirt. Right, no, I need oil because we want that felt dry going in. So let's just take that out. Get some oil running through it. And then that's going to glide much better. Uh-oh, now my hand is slippery. Kitchen towel. Right. Set this out. That's come through. Oh no, good marking. Right. Because what we want to make sure of is when that grub screw goes in, that this is completely straight. Other, if this is at an angle, then our presser foot's going to look odd. Now, the one thing I'm not putting back on is the thread guide because I don't like them. But let's get a presser foot on, because that needs to help us. And I don't usually put presser feet on. Oh yeah, of course I can turn it. Okay, so we got a presser foot on now. And let's get the grub screw at least in a little bit for now, because then we can adjust it. Right. Because what we also need to make sure is that we do the pressure. So let me just, for now, I want to make sure that it's lined up. So I'm going to have to do it at a different angle, because I want to make sure that it lines up that way. So that's fine. my presser foot, oops, sorry, my presser foot is lined up. And now, when I lift, that's working. But I need to sort out the pressure. Well, I need to start with a little bit of pressure because I can always adjust it afterwards. So we remember that the spring goes in first. Now I'm just going to drop a little bit of oil so that the spring feeds in nicely. There you go. And that's got a bit of lubrication going through, like that. And then the next little thing that went on was the washer. Then we can start screwing this in. No, no. We are going to add a bit of oil. Then we're going to start sliding that in. And that's starting to push that spring down. Okay. Now I remember this, when I was taking it out, it was in a long way. But I'm not going to have it in that far yet. I want to wait until I can test the sewing. And then I can see how much pressure is required. But that is enough for now. So that's that bit done. And it's lined up, which is good. And that's pushing that bit. That's fine. Let's now, because there's plenty of oil. So now let's put the faceplate back on. Let's get that bit. Ooh, that's looking nice. And then let's line up. See, I get loads of oil on my hands and then everything is slippery, and that's the risk when you start dropping the screws. So I just want to be careful I don't drop anything and get everything. Oh, come on. And the screws are always so tiny. There you go. Long screwdriver. Okay, that's starting to look quite nice now. That's clipped on, so that's okay. And let's just tighten these up now, and then I'll pause the video, and then we got to put that tension assembly back together. Okay, but it's starting to look like a nice, always the doorbell. It's starting to look like a nice shiny machine if I turn it at that angle. Now I know the black is looking quite matte, like a matte finish at the moment. I do need to put sewing machine oil on, but it is starting to look a lot nicer. So I'm going to leave it for there, because I've got to change the camera angle and everything to get the ready to put the tension assembly back together. And so far I haven't got any spare screws, which means I'm using all my screws as I go along. That's a good thing.